But I think that with us, with Green Brothers, we hire and fire by our motto, which is live well, love others, be excellent. And when we bring people on, that's a huge question that we ask. And it's not just a cool thing we throw on the wall and make a neon sign out of our Foxcroft location where you've been and, hope that, people think that it's legit and, forget about it. But if people do those three things and they're competent and they care, then we can teach them how to do everything else.
Get around those obstacles and make room to create opportunities. You are listening to the Around the Way podcast. And now, your hosts, Kyle King and Kiana Williams.
Welcome to another episode of Around the Way podcast, where we help you get around your obstacles and find a way to redesign your life. We are here with two of the superstars in Charlotte, Stephanie and Josh Norris. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm amazing. It's been a great day. It's hump day? It is
hump day.
I feel like everything is like a long Monday since like COVID and the pandemic. I feel like I don't even know what day it is sometimes. So before we even get started, could you just tell us who you are, what you guys do, all of the amazing things, and how you're changing lives?
Yeah, so like you said, we're Josh and Stephanie. We own Green Brothers Juice and Smoothie Company. We are trying to change people's lives by bringing them health and wellness and community and make it taste delicious while doing it. What else, Josh?
Yeah, would change people's health trajectory.
Yeah.
Most people do not realize how good their body is meant to feel when you put the right things in it. And so we want to bridge the gap from where they are to where their body's potential is with healthy products from Green Brothers Juice.
I love that. We were sitting with somebody yesterday, and unfortunately his mom just passed. And I was talking to Kiana after we left the meeting, and I was like, I have to slow him down. Like, he has to take care of his body. He has to take care of his health. He's so focused on getting the work done or getting the project done or launching the book or launching the service to serve people. But I often ask myself, when I think of not just him, a lot of people, like, how are you actually changing your life internally? So I think that health is just such an amazing topic. And we haven't even talked about this on the podcast yet in regards to health. So I'm so interested in you guys. I've heard a lot of praise about you two as just individuals. So the goal of the podcast is to, yes, we want to talk about Green Brothers. Yes, we want to talk about who you guys are as professionals, your journey, and how you continue to expand your brands. But we also want to pull the curtain back behind who you are as actual people as well. So could you talk a little bit more about your health journey, or what inspired you both to continue to walk into this right now?
Yeah, so health has always been a big part of my life, and I playing sports throughout my life, then focused on soccer, went and played at UNCW and played a little bit there, and then stopped doing that and met this little lady to my left. And her and her friend were doing a half marathon, and they were talking one night, and they're like, "Oh, I want to do a half marathon." I was like, "Oh, if y'all do one, I'll do one." Being a guy, and so we ended up doing it together. And they're like, "Well, we want to do a marathon." I was like, "If y'all do it, I'll do it." And so we ended up doing the marathon together. And then I think it was like the next week after we did the marathon, that's when we actually started officially dating. July 23rd, and we did the marathon July 17th.
It was January 23rd.
Or January. 1, 2, 3, July 23rd. And then we kept doing more and more endurance races. Did an Ironman with Steffi, and it was actually kind of a family affair. It was my mom, who's the crazy one. She has now done 9 Ironman races. Wow. And she hadn't done any.
Your mom has done 9?
My mom is 5'2" and just like the Energizer Bunny.
That makes me hate my life.
Yeah,
what am I doing?
And she, to your point, I mean, she didn't even start. I think she ran her first 5K when she was 50.
No, wow. Yeah, like 42.
Yeah,
she had no. I mean, she was like, she was taking care of 5 or 4 kids full time.
Wow,
4 that we know of, at least.
So so it's never too late to start.
That's
for
right.
Sure. Yeah.
And then she just went on a tangent and went crazy with endurance sports. But anyway, she inspired us to get involved as well. So The Ironman consisted of Steffi, myself, my oldest brother, my mom, my middle brother, and my sister tag teamed the relay. Okay. And so, and my dad was the head of the cheer division, and we were all properly supported and taken care of. So, but it was a really amazing experience to be able to do that with your family.
Exactly.
And so throughout that process, you become so hyper-focused on what you put in your body and how important it is to fuel your body with the things that will help it thrive. And if you go out for an 8.5-hour workout and then go home and eat pizza and drink beer and sleep like crap, like your body's not going to recover. You're not going to feel good. You're going to have so much inflammation. You're not going to sleep well. Your energy's going to be off. Your mental fog, all this stuff. So anyway, that became where the real purposeful investment in health and nutrition and kind of you are is what you eat was born.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I have a question, and I hear that he calls you Steffi, so I'll keep the Stephanie.
So cute.
What would you say is the most interesting part of your life?
Oh, gosh. So I come from a little bit of a different background. We did meet in college. We, like he said, started doing smoothies and juices together, and kind of knew that was our passion, but didn't obviously know that we were going to open Green Brothers yet. So I actually majored in clinical research, and I worked as a manager of a clinical research company here in Charlotte, so doing pharmaceutical clinical trials on drugs. And one of my big pet peeves, I would always come home just so frustrated because I would be working on a type 2 diabetes drug or something, and for the trial we couldn't coach patients on what to eat because they wanted to see if the drug was actually working. So that was so hard for me because my passion was to get these people healthy, not to just give them a drug and make them, see if it works. And if it doesn't work, it just like pulled at my heartstrings. And so one of the things in talking with Josh was, I want to be able to take my background in healthcare and my passion for making people healthy, but do it the right way. And also being a mom of 2 young kids, and actually we have our 3rd on the way.
Oh,
so
congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, so with that, it's obviously quick. Like, we need these kids to get their fruit and vegetables quickly, and they love the smoothies. And so just, I guess, the combination of wanting to help people get healthy and obviously keep our family healthy was kind of what brought Green Brothers to become this family business that it is.
I love it. I thought there was more. That was like a dot. Okay.
That was it. Yeah.
I do have a question, and this is, kind of switching it up a little bit because you said something, and I'd love to hear your perspective. You talked about you were a clinical researcher, and I'm sure you've done a lot of research, you've understood clinical trials and efficacy, a lot of the different things that obviously drugs or even vaccines have in them or don't have in them. So I just would love to hear your thoughts in regards to the current vaccine, the COVID vaccine. This was not going to come up. This was one of the things that I just really wanted to know because I used to work for J&J, Janssen Biotech.
Yeah.
And we have, debates, and I've had debates with my friends just in regards to 6 months.
Very hostile about
not necessarily hostile,
the vaccine,
but more so from the science behind it, efficacy. Because I've read clinical trials. We had to read all of these clinical trials before we go into a dermatology office, and dermatology is completely different than obviously a vaccine. So I just love to hear from a health perspective, from an understanding your research perspective, your thoughts on the current vaccine.
Yeah, I defaulted to a lot of her expertise on this. I was like, do you think I should get it or not? So I'll let you go ahead and lead that charge.
I mean, I think the primary thing and that we do not hear enough of is taking care of yourself. You take care of yourself, if you build up your immune system, if you're active, if you're doing all the basic things, I think that you should be fine. At least just be as healthy as you possibly can be. However, we are around a lot of people who may have compromised immune systems. We're around our families, our older adults. And to that point, we want to do everything we possibly can to protect them. So for us, it's the vaccine. I know for me personally, it's not so much about protecting just myself, but protecting those I come in contact with. So yes, doing, I think there are certain vaccines out there that are better than others, and I think looking at the research and stuff, but I think it's also just remembering that you may be a healthy person, but if you're coming into contact with a lot of people like we are at the juice bar, or with our families or with our grandparents or with people who may be immunosuppressed, we want to do everything we possibly can to keep, I mean, I would feel terrible if I gave it to somebody, especially a loved one, but even like a customer that came in the store. Exactly. So our primary thing is not only looking out for ourselves, but looking out for others.
I love that perspective. And we hear this, I don't know, this notion of take care of yourself, take care of yourself. And even people say it like kind of in panel, take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. Can you define what that really means? Like, what does that actually look like in, you're coaching people on taking care of yourself? What does that mean from a diet standpoint? What does that mean from a fitness standpoint?
Yeah, it is very subjective. It's not one prescription meets all. But to your point, one person's biggest detriment might not even be existence in another person. It could be, it could be a mental thing that, if they're mentally caught up or depressed or whatever, then that could transform everything else in their life and put like a kind of a dark gloom on everything else. So there's a really complicated way to look at wellness, and there's a really easy way to look at wellness. There's a book I was in UPS or FedEx the other day, and it literally says the title of the book is "Eat, Move, Sleep." It's like, well, that's
pretty simple.
It's like eat well, like move, get active. Don't just be sedentary, and sleep well. And those three things, if you do those things, that'll give you a certain baseline of health and wellness. But then you can get super OCD about, all the other details if you want. But I think starting with that, if you're doing those things, and then you can progress to the more next level wellness items.
Well, and I think, too, something that's missed from that is the mental health aspect of it. Just taking care of your mental health and doing things that make you feel good. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's going for a bike ride. Maybe it's gardening, whatever it may be. I know for Josh and I, our mental health is a lot about exercise. Like, if he's in a bad mood, I'll literally be like, Josh, you're in a bad mood. You need to go exercise. And he does the same thing to me because we know each other, and we know, sometimes just that going for a walk even, or he can't walk right now, but going for a one-legged scooter. Doing some push-ups, whatever it may be, just to get that blood flowing. But I think it's having the self-awareness to know I'm in a funk right now. I'm not being the best version of myself. And I've been doing everything. I've been sleeping. I've been eating well. I've been exercising. What do I need to do to just if it's taking 5 minutes to go scream in a pillow, whatever you have to do, but just taking care of yourself mentally, I think that affects everything.
I love that. And I think so many times especially when we podcast, and I love what you just kind of said, taking care of yourself, the whole person. A lot of times when we podcast, a lot of people, and just in general, lead with the profession. Lead with, I'm the founder of this, or I do this, or I've created this. So my question is, if you were to give a story of your life, and it would cover the most significant parts of your lives, to be able to describe you, how would you do that?
A story of your life that would cover the most important parts of your life.
I'll preface it a little bit. So let's say that, I'll just give an example. Let's say somebody said when I was 5 years old, I had a teacher that, when I was 5 years old, let's say that I couldn't read. I didn't have parents in my home that really helped me. So I had a teacher really help me learn how to read. And then I ended up being the first in a district to win an award that went off to now being a reading specialist. And then I went off to now become the Secretary of Education. And now I'm focused in this campaign to be able to, a charge or a movement to help kids read. So through the story, you understand the person, but it was something, and there's pieces that people would be able to remember. Like, a lot of times we don't remember, like, I'm the CEO of this company, or I'm the founder of this, but through the story, we'll be able to deeply connect with that individual.
On a romantic side, and since I'm my wife, I'll say the day my life began, when I first saw my wife.
I love
it. Best day ever. So a pivotal part of my life that changed my life trajectory was, I think I was probably in 5th grade. And I basically looked in the mirror and I was like, man, I'm getting fat. And I was like, I don't want to be fat. I was like, how do I change this? I don't like this path. How do I go to a different path? So I started at this little red notebook, and it sounds so weird thinking about it. This little tiny red notebook that I probably stole from one of my brother's room because I was a baby of the family, and I'd just go and take stuff sometimes. And I started doing dashes for every push-up and sit-up that I did in this book. And so, after like 6 months, I had a whole book full of dashes, but every day that I'd do them, I'd put dashes on there. And that was a way for me to not only say, this is what I don't want. I want to go this way. I think overall is just, I decided to raise my standards, and to not accept that I wanted, I didn't want to be, this kind of, fat little kid. Like I wanted to, have a different outlook and trajectory for my life, but also to help me to track. And I think I've maybe that was where my OCD of numbers came from, but I've always been a big fan of numbers, and you can't improve what you don't measure. So by tracking all that stuff, that's how I was able to gauge my success and my growth and be encouraged by it, even when you don't see the results, but you're putting the work in. That's why, I really pay attention to like our numbers in the business. And, I have a really, really bad problem with nerding out on Excel spreadsheets that, and creating pro formas and all the stuff that, maybe is over the top. But it kind of gives me peace of mind to know, okay, these are the numbers, numbers don't lie. And this is how we can get from where we are to where we want to be.
I love that. That's good. That's good. I'm ready, Stephanie.
The first day was when she met me.
Yeah. No, mine starts a little bit younger than that. I actually tragically lost my dad when I was 8. So I think kind of ever since that moment, I set myself on this course of life of like living to the fullest. And part of that for me is taking care of myself, taking care of my body, taking care of others. And so just living a life that I think he would be proud of. And obviously when I found Josh in college and we met and we started training, and my dad was a big runner and really into fitness. And so when I met him, I was like, this is cool. Like I found a guy where our dates were literally going for runs. And
I was too cheap to do anything else.
In college, yes.
It worked.
For sure. It worked. And so, yeah, from there, just kind of doing things and checking in with myself and thinking, am I being the best version that I can be? And he was young when he passed away. And so just kind of living your life and fulfilling your dreams and not holding back and just doing what we want to do. And we started the business very young. We started our family very young, and we've kind of just been plowing through, but that's just how we live.
I love it. So let's talk about family. You guys have three kids.
2.5.
One on the way.
Two and one's cooking.
One's 20 weeks. And
20 weeks.
A 4-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Wow. Oh gosh, they're like
20 weeks, and you don't look 20 weeks
Oh.
at all.
Thank you.
Jeez, it's that taking care of yourself.
That is what it is.
Taking care of yourself.
Thank you.
So I guess my question for you is like, how do you balance it all? How do you have 2 and 1 cooking, and you have this business, you have multiple locations, you still have your individual, journeys as well and your aspirations. Talk to me a little bit about your processes in the house of continuing to track your dashes.
On a business level, it's constantly. I mean, it's updating the numbers every Monday, and we do. Right now we have sales coming from like all the DoorDash and Postmates and this and that. So anyway, it's finding a way to get all those bits of information on one dashboard, so that gives us a barometer on how on a business level we're doing. Mm-hmm. And then on a personal level, it's pretty subjective for me. It's I try to get in a certain amount of workouts in a week. I try to drink a certain amount of water. We try to do a date night every Wednesday. Do little things like that, and then also just be really purposeful around the kids and make sure that when we're with the kids, we're really with them and not trying to work on the side and do all that stuff. We've tried the distracted parenting approach, and it does not work. Like in a pandemic, like when you're running around, and you're trying to work. And
It doesn't work.
It's tough. But that's a pretty. It's definitely can be a challenge, especially working with Steffi, and then also we have with Green Brothers, it started with my other brothers. So, having the dynamics of working with them, but also being brothers. So, and working with Stephanie, and also we're married. So, we'll have disagreements sometimes, but, it's, you have to find a way to divide out the personal versus, or the family versus the business, and balancing that is something I think we've done a pretty good job doing.
Yeah.
It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, and it's nice that our kids know what we do and they love it. So they love coming into any of our locations. They love the staff. Some of our staff have babysat for us. I mean, it really... I know my daughter comes home from kindergarten. She's like, oh, one of my friends has been to the juice bar. And, she gets so excited. And so it's fun and it's cool that we are able to do something that they can talk to their friends about. And it's not, oh, I don't know what my parents do. So even if we do have to go in on a weekend or something, they'll come in and color or hang out, or, I don't know, we're about to get our oldest to start adding more value, working the register.
She's 6 years old. She needs to start hearing away,
Just step up. No, but it's fun that, they help us make smoothies at home, and we talk about health and wellness, and so they get it and they feel like they're a part of it, it's been really fun.
Yeah, and our staff are so kind to them. And Avery will walk into the back of house when they're in the middle of like a crazy juicing day, and she'll just be like, "Oh, what's this? What's this?" And they'll just stop and like talk to her and like, "Oh, can I help weigh the lemons out?" So she'll come in and they'll, again, it's like the worst thing on an efficiency level, but they're so patient with the kids, and we're very blessed to have the patient staff that we have.
No, literally. I love that.
And also the fact that, like Steffi said, we pull them for babysitting. So
that's always helpful.
Yeah.
That's always helpful. So I guess my question, I want to twist it up a little bit, because I love having two people on instead of just kind of us drilling one person. So my question is, how would you describe yourselves personally, but you have to describe the other person?
Like, how would I describe Steffi? Mm-hmm. Perfect. Steffi, she is driven and 2 words. That is not easy.
Wait, did you
it
say
doesn't
2
have to be
words?
2 words.
Oh, I thought no, never mind. All right. But she's extremely driven, and she is. And if you are someone that she cares about, there's nothing she won't do for you. And she is just a diehard maven for those that she loves.
I love it.
Thanks. So Josh, I would say that he is very passionate. He is great at talking to people about health and wellness, and especially customers, making people feel welcome anywhere, not just at the juice bar, but at a party or at our house or he will make you feel like he's known you for forever. And he's also, I don't want to say OCD, but like he is very about the operations and the numbers, and we complement each other really well because he does sort of the spreadsheets and the nerding out on the numbers and stuff that I'm like have no desire to get into. I'm kind of like, are we okay? All right, cool. Like, that's good as long as we're doing fine. I'm okay. Like, I trust you. Whereas, I take a little bit more of the HR approach and the hiring and the, doing the more.
She also helps me make sure that I don't have too bad of analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Things.
Yeah. Because, it's Green Brothers is literally one of our children. It's our baby. And so he does sometimes get a little bit like, okay, this is not quite perfect. It's not, but I'm sometimes like, but it's good enough. And it'll do, and we'll perfect it along the way. Let's just move forward. Yep. So we definitely complement each other really well.
Stevie's a good soundboard for me, for sure.
I love asking that question because, one, it's really interesting.
It's kind of a hard one.
A lot of pressure.
I hope I didn't leave anything out there I'm going to get in trouble.
But it's really cool being able to see the other person's reaction when, obviously somebody that they love is being able to communicate about them. Because sometimes, when we've seen it done before, you'll say something or she'll say something that you didn't even recognize or that you didn't recognize. And I was writing down those characteristics: driven, caring, diehard maven for those who you love, passionate, welcomed, and I'm not going to say OCD, very particular, intentional.
Yes.
When you think about those characteristics and those qualities, you've built this amazing business, this amazing brand, and you're continuing to scale. My question is, what characteristic, not characteristics, what characteristic do you believe is absolutely essential to being able to be successful in business and to be successful in a marriage?
I would say my one word would be passion. I think, like, if you're passionate about what you do, it'll come very naturally. And if you're passionate about the person that you love, it'll also come very naturally. I think when we hire employees, we always ask them the question, what are you passionate about? And really what they're passionate about doesn't really matter to us. It's more of seeing like that light in their eyes and the excitement that they get when they talk about that thing. And that's just not something you can teach people, to have that feeling of just, I don't know what it is. It's like fulfillment, you know?
Just light up.
It's like that glow.
Yeah.
Mine would be, I guess, kind of one hyphenated word, purpose alignment.
Okay.
But I think that with us, with Green Brothers, you know, we hire and fire by our motto, which is live well, love others, be excellent. And when we bring people on, that's a huge question that we ask. And it's not just a cool thing we throw on the wall and make a neon sign out of our Foxcroft location where you've been, and, you know, hope that, you know, people think that it's legit and, you know, forget about it. But if people do those three things and they're competent and they care, then we can teach them how to do everything else. But you can't teach people to care. You can't, you know, and also they have to have a baseline of competency. But really, I mean, if you're committed to living well, and again, going back to your thing of that's subjective for everyone, but if you're committed to improving and growing, and you love others, because you can't live and love and fear at the same time, you have to choose one or the other, and you want to be excellent in all things that you do, then we'll get along just fine.
We're going to go on a commercial.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So we are still here with the Green Brothers Juice manifestors.
I like that.
So we're going to switch it up a little bit. This is my turn in the episode. So in the middle of the table, you've probably noticed a red box. It's been pushed around a little bit, actually. And I would like for each of you, one at a time, to get the box, and there's questions in here. So if you guys could pick a question and read the question and answer the question. How are we doing it today? Are we all doing it?
Yeah, we'll all do it. So each of you get 2 questions, right? So you get to choose one to answer, and you get to choose one to pass to somebody else.
And anyone else, or is this them, or?
Oh, it could be anybody
Anyhow.
else.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Cool. Do you want me to go ahead and read both of them right now? Or just...
Well, you can read.
Okay.
Do I pick it out now, or?
So the one that you're going to answer, you could read that one on the mic
Yeah.
and then answer it. And then we'll come back to the second
Yeah.
one.
So you get a choice.
I feel like we change it up every time.
It changes every time.
You know.
Especially when we have 2 people.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a raffle.
A little bit.
Okay. All right. All right. So I know which one I'm gonna pass.
So the one that you have to pass is the one that you keep. That's the spin. Because that's usually the one that you don't want to answer. Here we go.
Jerry Springer.
Oh boy. Okay. All right.
Now we're testing your integrity. 'Cause now we don't know.
We don't know which one was which.
Okay.
You better not switch those. I'm watching you.
Okay. So do you want me to go ahead and go?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is the one that I was going to give to somebody else, and now I'm answering it for myself. Okay. Do you think your future self will feel guilty about any of the choices that you're currently making in your life?
Wow.
Whew, that is like really deep, and I was hoping I could shove that off on somebody else.
Glad I didn't get that one.
So I think for me, a lot of this comes down to family, and just I want to make sure, I guess, right now I'm spending enough time with our children and with Josh and watching them grow. I know now having a 4 and a 6-year-old and having another on the way, I feel like the baby and toddler years, and it just flew by so quickly. And I just want to make sure that I'm devoting myself to spending time with them where I'm not distracted and I'm not trying to work and be with them. And same with Josh, just making memories. And one of our big things in life is just to do things that make memories. So whether it's, I don't know, having a picnic out of the back of our minivan instead of eating dinner inside, just little things. So I think doing more of that so that my future self doesn't look back and say, oh, I wish I had done more of this with them at that age, or I wish I hadn't spent so much time working when I could have been spending time with them, or whatever it may be. I think it's just using my time intentionally, and when I'm working, I'm working, and when I'm with them, I am fully 100% with them.
Can I ask you a question to follow that?
Uh-huh.
Why did you want to pass that one?
I don't know. It just felt, I think thinking about like feeling, it's never fun to feel guilty, right? So I think thinking about even my future self feeling guilty, it's a vulnerable position to put yourself in. And so also kind of out of curiosity to see what other people would say.
It's so interesting because that was the first question I wrote down to ask you guys. So you were going to answer it anyway. That's interesting because the question I was going to ask is, what is something you're not giving as much attention as you'd like?
Yeah.
And so it probably would have been the same answer.
Yeah, I think it would have aligned for sure.
Yeah.
Just making sure, it's very easy to get hyper focused on our juice baby, as I call it, Green Brothers, and things will pop up that are sometimes frustrating, and we'll take it out on the kids, not meaning to, but it's also nice that the other person typically knows what's going on and they can kind of jump in and be like, hey, it's okay, go take a break. But yeah, that would be mine for sure.
That's good. It's all on you, Josh.
So now, because I've got two of them.
Whichever one you would least like to answer.
So is this the one that I choose that the least likely? Or are you going to flip that and be like,
You never know.
all right, the one that I'll pass this one.
Wait, you're passing or you're answering right now?
I'm going to pass. Do I answer first or do I pass first?
Oh no, you
Answer first.
answer first.
Answer first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to let you all see it because it's going to be a moment to moment thing. What is something that you are not, or that you are trying not to accept? This actually came into play when we were thinking about having our third. We have two, and we were like, should we go for a third? It makes very little sense on paper for us to have another because we got a lot of things coming down the pipeline with Green Brothers. We've got, the two kids. We can play man-on-man defense. Like, it checks all the boxes. And so we this was actually truth be told, this is the first time we actually had a discussion around having a child. The first two were not planned. So this one was actually, we talked about it. And actually that leads with this other question. But one of the cornerstone question that I kept coming to my mind was, when I'm lying on my deathbed, how do I avoid regret? Mm-hmm. And when I'm on, it'll be short-term discomfort. It'll be tough and challenging, and it'll definitely, be a little bit more stressful. But long-term, when I'm, hopefully, 120 by then, we'll have all this technology, and Green Brothers smoothies will help me live a really long time. But looking back at my life, how do I make decisions now that will keep me from looking back with regret later? And the question was in my mind, if we decided not to have another one, then would I regret that, or would I regret having another one? And it was no brainer. I was like, oh, well, of course I'd rather have, if we could, I'd rather have a third than just to have two. Avoiding regret was my, I'm not willing to accept like purposeful regret later on in life.
That's good.
That is good.
That is really good.
What y'all got?
Oh, gosh.
What you passing? What you got?
Pass yours first.
Okay. All right, Kyle, I'm going to ask you this.
Okay.
What are 3 big decisions that you believe you'll have to make before the end of 2021?
Three.
you're supposed to be in there.
I don't feel bad because you all wrote those questions down. So.
I wrote that.
That's a tough one. What are 3 big decisions that I'll have to make before the end of 2021?
I actually thought about you when I wrote this question.
Wow. So I'm going through a transition in regards to business. I think that's a big one. Will I be doing the same thing that I'm doing moving into 2022? I think that everything that I'm doing now has been very purposeful, but it's becoming a little bit too easy. And I've recognized in my life that when things are easy like this, I get very stagnant. And that's not the way that I need to be going. It's too easy to make money. It's too easy to find clients. I see myself like I'm an ex-athlete, so it's not fun anymore. And I'm recognizing it because, definitely did it through the pivot, through COVID. We had to pivot hard and we made it work. But now that it's working, it's one of those things where do you stay in this specific position because it is easy and it's working and you can continue to coast because you're exponentially making more than last year? Or are you willing to step out and trust God? And it may be more challenging, but it's not going to be comfortable as it is right now to a bigger move. That's one thing. Big changes. Decisions. I think number 2, this is a decision I've really, really considered, and I don't even think we talked about this. I really want to move my dad here to live with me. And I talk about it all the time on the podcast, and hopefully when he listens to this, he hears that I'm serious. So I feel like my dad is in a place of complacency, to be very honest. He grew up one of 13, projects. His mom.
13.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's 3 at 13. Crazy story. But his mom passed when he was 7. He never had a father, from South Jersey. And now they live, my parents, they're still married. They live in, a $500,000 house in Florida, and they're just living the dream, but not his dream. So I want to bring him here, and I want to show him, and I want to help him in a way where he's helping me build my business, or if we're doing more community work, or we're doing something for the city where I can continue to rise my vision and he's next to me, so that I can give him a piece of being able to create his own vision. Number 3, this may be the year of a proposal.
Ooh.
That's big.
Oh, that's a big decision.
So I think that's 3 things
She's
for
not
sure.
listening.
She is.
So that's I definitely think that's the 3 things. So definitely a transition in business. Yeah.
I was just making sure.
Definitely transition in business, bringing my pops here. But I'm really intentional. I'm really like you, Josh, when it comes to what will happen if that happens? Because that shifts a lot of things. I definitely see a lot of great things because, my son's here, so I'll be able to have that support, all kinds of things, great things. But, my dad can be a handful at times. So I think this is the year. I think God intentionally created, I told a friend this yesterday, I feel like God needed me to go through COVID. It sat me down. It made me be more present. It helped me to reflect. It helped me remove a lot of relationships and a lot of bad habits or behaviors. It gave me everything that I needed financially to position myself to where I'm at now. But now he's about to shake things up so that he can move me into the next season. And every decision will move me into the next season. So that's my answer. That was a great question. That was tough.
That was a good one to finish on. That was a great.
Thanks.
Number 3, especially.
Yeah. That was good. Definitely. Save the best for last, So that was good. Josh, what you got for us?
Oh, that's awesome with working with your dad. I mean, it's been special to be able to share stuff with, call my dad up and ask him things, and he's not making smoothies or anything, but he's been my dad and brother and wife and mom and sister, everyone's been able to play a part in what we're creating, and it's so much more fun to do it with a tribe of folks.
That's amazing.
Again, everyone's got their unique superpower, but it's been a really fun thing to see in everyone's little things that have contributed, not all little, but everyone's very gifted ways of contributing to Green Brothers and make it what it is. And that's, I think, and to your question of, what makes Green Brothers special, I think it's the culmination. I feel like people feel the love when you walk in, because we love on it so much. We have so many people that come through and give their opinion and like, oh, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do this, or let's do this, call it this smoothie. And so it's just, everyone's kind of helped to shave down this piece of clay to make the Green Brothers truck, if you will. Anyway, all right. So Miss what? Not engaged or whatever. Maybe later.
Check back.
All right. What is the best mistake you've ever made? It seemed like an inconvenience at the time, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. And no, you cannot just point to your left.
Smart man.
That's hard. And I made the question, and it's hard.
Yeah, I don't feel bad.
Yeah.
If you need to reread it. It was a long one.
Yeah. That's hard.
In the meantime, it looked like you enjoyed your
Mad yes.
smoothie. It's all gone.
Shout out to Green Brothers Juice. Definitely. So as you're reflecting over here, can you tell us what was in this smoothie here?
I can. So it's called the Mad Gains. We created it with a collaboration with a local gym called Metabolic. Shout out Finley. And it has Blue Magic, which is a phycocyanin. It's like spirulina, but they extract the phycocyanin, which makes it this really cool blue color, really rich in chlorophyll. So it's got Blue Magic. It's got some grass-fed New Zealand chocolate whey protein, peanut butter, our homemade almond milk, and spinach, broccoli, and a lot of love.
Love it. Love it.
I have one. I think so. It wasn't even really my mistake, really. So when I was, when I guess this is a good one. I don't know. So when I was teaching, I'll say that. Oh,
we're gonna go on a quick commercial. Okay. We're gonna come back.
Welcome back. It is on me to answer this question. Again, what's the biggest mistake, or what's the best mistake you've ever made? It seemed like an inconvenience at the time, but turned out to be a blessing in disguise. I'm going to say it was when I was a teacher. It wasn't even really my mistake, but it impacted me. Do you know why why they didn't want me working there anymore?
No, I have no idea. It was a very funny situation. I tried to comfort you, but it was hilarious.
You didn't try to comfort me, I feel like. So I was very miserable anyway. But then, so I would go home and I would tell my mom about what was happening. And then somebody told my grandmother. My grandmother took it upon herself to come up to the school and was like, I want to talk to the principal because I don't like the way that y'all are treating her. And so then it's,
oh my God.
That's granny.
Yeah, but I was about to quit anyway. But I was like, I want to finish this month so I can get another paycheck and stuff like that. And so then they called me up to the office, and then they're like, and so I'm not thinking anything but I'm like, this is weird because it's the end of math class. I'm teaching, and so I go up there. My grandmother is sitting in the office with the principal and stuff, and I'm just like, what is she doing here? And she's very upset, very angry. And so then we have this whole conversation. They told me to go home. They were like, just go ahead home. And then they sent me an email, and that's when they had basically fired me and was just took all my emails and everything. But I was going to leave, I was going to leave anyway, but she expedited the process. I didn't go back after that.
That's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that, if I would have appreciated that.
Well, now, I needed to leave the school. So I was staying because, one, for the children, and then two, I needed money, so that was a thing. But it turned out fine, obviously.
So talk to us about the process. What does it turned out fine look like? What happened after that happened?
Well, interestingly, and that's what we were having this conversation yesterday, and I was just I think a lot of times when something bad happens, we focus on the bad part. And it was well, I hate the way that it ended with all of this foolishness that happened at the school. But in reality, when I think about it, I can't even really remember the time that from when I left to when whatever happened, that I was making money again. Like, that part was so insignificant. Like, the fact of the matter was, I got that job in a time where I needed money. I had just moved out of my parents' house into my own apartment, had no job, just moved out and was like, I'm going to make it work. God is going to come through. And he did. The same day I moved in was the same day I got a call for an interview for that job. So then I got that job, though it was a horrible situation throughout. But then I ended, and then I didn't miss a beat. Like, nothing happened. COVID happened, like, right after that. So it was like, it wouldn't have worked out anyway. Like, I would have hated to be a teacher virtually for, like, my first year teaching like that, teaching 5th grade virtually. Like, that would have been horrible. So, like, it worked out. Like, there was I didn't miss a beat. I didn't get thrown out of you couldn't have got thrown out of your apartment because they put a pause on eviction. So I was like, I didn't really.
Best time to
that was the best time to be jobless. Like, so it was like, it was cool. I know that doesn't sound good. But yeah, so it was fine, you know? And I didn't have that headache of all the other stuff that was happening.
I think one of the cool things is that, you know, I think you overlook it all the time. Once she got removed from her position.
Because they said they didn't fire me, so I can't say I got fired.
She was removed gracefully.
Forcefully.
Right. No, literally.
She finished her book. You know, that's when you kind of nailed down with, you know, you as a singer.
Yeah.
You know, and then just repositioned yourself to be able to be in the place that you are today. Like, the podcast came after that.
Yeah, the podcast wouldn't have happened. I don't think.
Like, the life coaching came after that. So it's interesting because I think that a lot of times our biggest mistakes or the best mistakes create the most empowering miracles for other people, not just for ourselves. So our biggest mistakes create miracles for other people, because that mistake, or, you know, whatever happened there, created an opportunity for your students, created an opportunity for all of the people that you serve, created an opportunity for all of the people that listen to the podcast, created this, you know, conversation today, and, you know, to be able to meet these two fine people. So I just think that, you know, and even what you were saying earlier offline, so I won't bring it up, it forced you to become better, right? It forced you to become better and, you know, be this person now that's passionate, that's welcoming, and that is, you know, really focused on the details. So I do have one last question.
I have one too after that.
My question for the both of you, and, you know, I can definitely see that you're really reflective on your legacy, that not only that you leave in this community or as a business owner, but with your children. And that's super important, you know, as a father. That's super important just in general. If you were to only leave one message to both or all three of them, or 13 in the future, if you could only leave them one message that they just took with them and they never forgot it, what would that be?
I would say for me, it would probably be to do what you love and do what you're passionate about in anything. I've been in situations where I wasn't passionate about what I was doing and I wasn't fulfilled, and therefore I wasn't the best version of myself in any aspect of my life. So that would be my biggest thing to them, would just be find what fulfills you and then try to just share that. Find what you love, find what you're passionate about, and try to find a way to make a career out of it and share it with others. I think that's the way that you're the happiest and the way that you're impacting not only yourself but all those around you. So that would probably be my big thing for them.
I would say trust and believe in God. I can't think of a single thing that I've ever done that has had any importance to me or had any impact on, you know, legacy, like you said, that wasn't a God thing. I mean, even when you think about kids, one of my buddies told me yesterday that him and his wife have been trying to get pregnant. I'm not going to say who it is in case it comes out before they tell everyone else, but they've been, you know, trying to have a baby, and I was like, man, there's nothing more humbling and nothing that'll put you on your knees more than children, and like the conception part of like all the things that are going on inside. We were at the doctor the other day and seeing that like at 20 weeks the baby's like fully formed, and they're looking at the liver and the brain and like all this stuff. I'm like, how does anyone see this and not believe that there's a higher power that created us and loves us and looks out for us? I mean, it's just wild. So, and any growth pattern in the business, it's like the times where I've been on my knees the most and humbled the most, like you said, it's like some certain doors are shutting, but other doors are opening, and also back to another one of your, you make so many good points. Just keep retroactively pulling your points back. But you won't be able to do nearly what you could by yourself as opposed to with God. And if your goals are too small to where you feel like you can do it yourself and you don't need the help of God, then that's probably a good lesson that you need to level up and get outside your comfort zone, which is a heck of a lot easier said than done. And I don't put that into practice as much as I should, but I know I should. So those would be that'd be my thing to pass on to the kids.
And I would say Josh's dad too, like when we went into starting the business, he started his own business, and his main piece of advice was like, constantly be on your knees, like,
because if you want, I hope he listens to this. I listen to him sometimes, but he said if you're not on your knees every day, God will find a way to put you on your knees, and he'll find a way to humble you to a point where you realize how much you truly do need him. And boy, have we been there before, and I have no doubt it'll come again. But it's easy. Like I think the worst parts of my professional life is when I've had such like a white knuckle grip around my life, saying like, I can control this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to will this thing to work. But it's when you let go and you're like, this goal's too big. This business is too big for me to do it all myself. God's got to be part of it, or else it will fail. And obviously having, I think we have 45 amazing staff right now that help a ton. Yeah. But, all that together, like, if God's not in it, I just feel like people are selling their dreams short.
So I have one more question. It's very light. What is one quality or characteristic that you see in each other that you'd like for your children to adopt?
I'm a little worried if my daughter gets Steffi's looks. So, not that.
Anything but that.
I think Steffi's just got such a kind spirit and a caring spirit, and she thinks she does so well. She does so much for others, and is so willing to help and to help however she can, and to whoever's in need. I guess a selfless side of her that I hope that our kids get.
Yeah, and I would say probably his drive and his warmness to others, just the way he welcomes people in, and just his warm personality and ability to brighten up a room.
With my bald head.
With the reflection.
That is great.
Not to run the mood. That was very sweet.
This has been such a great conversation. You guys are great. Yeah. Literally.
You guys are great.
Yeah.
Like, thanks.
Like you are.
Keep it going.
We can hang out after this if you want.
Like, this has been such an amazing conversation. And, for our audience that's, still with us, we want you to really, I want you to go back and replay this and replay it again. I want you to really focus in on being more driven. Being the person that you envision with God by your side, with God in front of you, with God inside of you as well. Do what you love. Do what you love. Find out what you love and be passionate about it. But we never want you to forget. We want you to live well. We want you to take care of yourself. We want you to continue to not just love others, but be loved when you are engaging with others. And we want you to be excellent. We want you to perform. You cannot do this alone. You need your team. You need somebody around you that can continue to be what you need them to be, so that you can create the vision, the calling, or the dream that God intends for you to create. This is Josh and Stephanie Norris, Green Brothers Juice, Charlotte, North Carolina, Around the Way podcast, and we'll see you guys next episode.
Bye, guys.